Hey guys, what is going on? It is Rob from Crypto Bobby. Hope you are having a good day, good night, wherever you might be. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Crypto Happy Hour. And really looking forward to hopping into today's discussion, as well as talking to you a little bit about what's been happening with Bitcoin, some of the upcoming forks, where the altcoin market or where the other cryptos, whatever we want to call that today, where the other crypto assets might be headed in the near future. If you guys can hear me all right, definitely let me know in the comments. Would certainly appreciate that. So we can hop into everything today. And guys, as you are watching this, been a pretty interesting run for the past couple of days. Obviously, a lot of it has been led by Bitcoin. That's been the biggest movement or the biggest mover, not necessarily the biggest mover, but from an overall market capitalization perspective, that's been the biggest thing that's really been driving all of these prices, whether in the positive way, negative way, whatever it might be. So Bitcoin has been pretty fascinating to watch, in my opinion, at least, when we're talking about what's been going on in the overall market. In the overall market, Bitcoin running up to $6,200 and right now just below $6,000. And really, Bitcoin has regained its market dominance. I talked a little bit about it in today's video earlier, but that overall Bitcoin dominance in terms of the market capitalization for all of crypto sitting at about 58% right now. It was down to maybe 38% or so back in mid-June when Ethereum had its incredible run. So pretty interesting stuff. And guys, thank you so much for taking the time to join me tonight. What is up? What is up, everybody? Ron, what's going on? To my man Leonardo, Jadid, everybody out there, Janet, Twitch, Toyota Corolla. So appreciate you guys taking the time to join. And as usual, within any of the crypto happy hours, I'll try to answer as many questions as possible. I mean, this is really just to kind of hang out with you. I'm not feeling super great right now, so I'm actually drinking a good old bottle of Poland Springs. I had a few beers for the Jets game today, and the Jets, as usual, went out ahead and then ripped my heart out. So the Jets actually made me sick today, I think, potentially. So thanks to the New York Jets and thanks to Josh McCown for throwing that disgusting interception with 39 seconds left to lose the game. So thanks for making me sick, Jets. And outside of that, awesome to have you guys here. And per usual, ask any questions that you want. I try to get to as many questions as freaking humanly possible. But if there's something that you absolutely must have answered, throw it in a super chat and I will definitely get to it and definitely make sure to answer that as well. Yeah, somebody said Ethereum is doing about as well as Josh McCown in the fourth quarter. And, you guys may be football guys, you might not be football guys, but all we have to do is take a look at this ratio right now. And, that's about as well as Josh McCown in the fourth quarter. Since July, that's Josh McCown in the fourth quarter. So, not here for sports. Well, that's too bad. Taking a look at these questions, and let's see here. So one of the interesting things I think that's going on right now is a lot of people are talking about, and I'll pop over to CoinMarketCap, and what I want to talk a little bit about is just the kind of the overall market dominance of Bitcoin. And I'll move this over a little bit to probably somewhere where it's applicable, because for a while Bitcoin was like 90% dominant, but let's put it back here maybe or so since the beginning of 2017 or so, where Bitcoin was at about 50%, about 60% dominance, and then went all the way down to 38% dominance back in mid-June when Ethereum had a really nice run up, as did Ripple as well. And both Ethereum and Ripple have cooled off since then, while Bitcoin has done nothing but pick up steam. So not necessarily just with Ethereum and Ripple as well, but a lot of the altcoins or a lot of these smaller cryptocurrencies have not held up in the face of Bitcoin's run. So people are talking about this being altcoin winter, and now altcoins have bottomed out. Now is the best time to buy altcoins. I'm having a little bit of trouble right now saying whether yes or no now is the right time to buy altcoins, or smaller cryptocurrencies, maybe basically anything but Bitcoin, or maybe Ethereum as well. But that's what I'm trying to determine and trying to come to grips with right now. About 50% of my portfolio is Bitcoin. Previously, it was a lot less. Bitcoin was maybe 10, 15% of my portfolio previously, and I've really moved the level of Bitcoin up quite a bit, just because of, I think, the run into the hard fork, and potentially after the hard fork. I still expect Bitcoin to rise, if not to stabilize a little bit, because I think people are going to take the Bitcoin gold. I think people are going to take the Bitcoin gold that they get. People are going to take the Bitcoin 2X and just move that back into Bitcoin, which in turn is going to increase the demand of Bitcoin as well. So I don't know if the altcoins are done dropping. I'm not selling my altcoins I'm not selling my OMG. I sold a little bit of OMG previously, about a few weeks ago. I sold a little OMG, a little bit of Civic, a little bit of a little bit of Manetha, and a little bit of, I basically cut my altcoin or smaller cryptocurrency positions in half and moved those into Bitcoin, because I felt the Bitcoin run was coming up, and it kind of did. It was at about $4,800 is when I made that move, when Bitcoin was at about $4,800. So with that being said, I was looking at that move has been actually pretty good for me so far. But I'm not going to get rid of the rest of my altcoins, because I have no clue when, and for me to, I have no clue when the altcoins might make, or when these smaller cryptocurrencies might make a comeback, and when that Bitcoin run might be kind of inversely correlated. So we'll have to see what's going on, what'll end up happening with that. So somebody mentioned, could 2X be named the real Bitcoin by Coinbase? I don't know what the businesses are. I don't know what the businesses are going to do that voted for the New York agreement or voted for the SegWit 2X thing. I don't know if they're going to pretend that Bitcoin B2X is going to be Bitcoin, or they're going to have a Bitcoin and a B2X as well. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out, because there are a lot of no 2X people out there, and that could piss off a lot of users if they confuse the branding of that as well. So let's see how that goes. So somebody mentioned how long until Ethereum will go up. Ethereum has been in a nothing but a downtrend for the past. This is the Ethereum to Bitcoin charts. And Ethereum since really June, since kind of, let's say, June 15th, peaked at about 0.14 Ethereum to Bitcoin. Since then has been, you can see here, this is the daily charts, has been really on nothing but, there's been a few temporary spikes, but it's just been straight downwards for the most part. So until Ethereum really shows that it can make some type of concerted move back upwards against Bitcoin, I'm remain very much positive about the overall technology behind Ethereum, but from an investment perspective, it simply hasn't held up against Bitcoin. Bitcoin has really done nothing but move up since August 1st, whereas Ethereum has either stayed the same or moved down a little bit. So just from a ratio perspective, it really has not been able to hold up. So we'll see. Somebody mentioned, do I see Bitcoin dipping more after the fork? And somebody else mentioned, so similar question, do I expect a dip after the upcoming gold and B2X forks? I love buying the dips. Obviously, everybody likes buying the dips. It's never a bad time to to buy when things are low and hopefully make some money off of that. Going on to that, we'll take a look at Bitcoin. These are the one-day charts, so it's been pretty damn crazy. All these green arrows are actually the dips where I bought. So hey-oh, I did all right. You can see from the green arrows, I went a little bit nuts in the 2,800 all the way to the 32 range. That's basically 2x profit, which doesn't suck. So thank you for that dip. So when we're talking about buying the dips, I say to buy the dips. I actually do buy the dips. When something dips, you're sure shit I'm buying, especially when it's Bitcoin. So those green arrows are those buys that are out of GDAX in my Coinigy account here. So with that being said, I still think that who knows what'll happen. So with post-fork with Bitcoin Cash, which is really one of the only times historically that you can really talk about a significant Bitcoin fork, or at least in the past, at least recently. After August 1st, we can look here. So this was August 1st. You can see right here, August 1st was the Bitcoin Cash fork. Bitcoin went from $2,700 after August 1st to run all the way up to, let's say, September 1st. Went all the way up to about close to $5,000. So it almost doubled in the month immediately after the Bitcoin Cash fork. With that, to go to that point, if it were to double after the, let's say, the Segwit 2X fork, that would be a pretty damn big move. That would be like $10,000 Bitcoin, above $10,000 Bitcoin. So I don't know if that'll happen, but I don't know if I don't know what the deal, I don't know what the deal will be in the future. I still think that the price of Bitcoin will maintain or increase following the fork, just because I think a lot of people are buying Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, and also are waiting to get their free Bitcoin Gold and their free Segwit 2X coin or B2X coin, and they're going to flip that shit immediately to buy back into more Bitcoin, or potentially more, some other altcoins as well. So I think that might be a realistic possibility, a realistic potential there. Looking at some of the things there. Somebody's asked about ADX November price. I don't know. So we'll have to see. Trying to take a look at some of these questions here as much as possible. Somebody mentioned, when will Manitha go up? If you're playing the Manitha drinking game, that happens for every crypto happy hour. Manitha. So that's, I think, 4 shots for you. That's been an absolute dog. I'm still pissed about it. I have sell orders set, and I'm trying to unload those bags as quick as possible. I've unloaded about half of the Manitha bags, but that's a big lesson in terms of ICOs for me. If you 3x an ICO right out of the gates, sell that shit and then don't look back, because Manitha is not even at its ICO price anymore. So that's actually 5 shots if you're playing the Manitha game at home. 6. Somebody mentioned thoughts on Omise Go OMG near term. I still have half my OMG from my initial investment. I remain positive on it, so we'll have to see there. Kevin Wild saying, I heard Bobby say to get into BitConnect, I signed up. You couldn't. I hope you're kidding, because God knows that you guys know I'm a big Ponzi scheme fan. So no, I'm not a big BitConnect fan. Not a big BitConnect fan. You guys are nuts. A couple different people asking about Bitcoin Gold right now. And for me, I think Bitcoin Gold, what is it? Let's see, BTC GPU. I don't think Bitcoin Gold is going to be anything special at all. I just don't. Yeah. BitConnect is a scam. Invest in Regal Coin, because that's no different, right? Bitcoin Gold is, the second I get it, I'm gonna find a place to sell it. So, proof of work, it's gonna make ASIC mining obsolete. Blah 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 blah. I don't see this really going anywhere. From all of the different, things that a lot of people have been saying about. Really all the big exchanges. I talked about Bittrex today ripping Bitcoin Gold. Bittrex came out and officially was like, they have no publicly known developers, they have no publicly known information, no publicly known code. basically just said it's a completely ambiguous mess. So we're not going to support it. You'll get your Bitcoin Gold, but we're not even going to open up a damn market for it. Coinbase, although Coinbase is very much more conservative than Bittrex, Coinbase came out and said similar things as well. Said similar things as well. So it'll be. I'm not a big. I don't know who's going to be the first market to open up on. Who's going to be the first market to open up on Bitcoin Gold, but with that, I'm not going to be holding it. As soon as I get it, I'm going to try and flip this stuff out as quick as possible to see. I think I'm probably also going to do the same with the B2X coin, whatever that is called, or if it's B2X, whatever it might be. Okay, Sathu, we get it. No seg with 2X. You don't have to write it 4 times, brother. So how do you claim your Bitcoin Gold exactly? You have to have your Bitcoin on a hardware wallet or in an exchange that is supporting Bitcoin Gold that has announced that they will support Bitcoin Gold, and that's going to be how you get it. So if you have Bitcoin, Google where you have your Bitcoin and see if that's somewhere where you can get it. So that's definitely an important distinction for you. You're going to want wherever you're storing your Bitcoin, Google if it's a Ledger wallet, if it's on Bittrex, Google Bittrex Bitcoin Gold, Google Ledger Bitcoin Gold, whatever it is, and that's going to be the best way to find out what to do and how to make sure that you get it. So I don't know what's going on with Vertcoin, but everybody in the freaking comments right now is freaking out about Vertcoin. So let's take a look at it. So it's up 18%. Hey-oh. So that's a little bit. I mean, I don't know if anybody has. If anybody has any specific reasons of why Vertcoin is pumping, other than that, that looks a little bit like fishy. To me, it looks a little bit fishy movement. I mean, this website is very I don't know. If there's a specific reason why Vertcoin is really pumping up and moving like crazy, definitely let me know in the comments. But that type of movement and that type of volume out of nowhere in a couple days is always a little suspect in my opinion. So that's something that I want to always concern myself with is if you were in on this previously, great. I would sell this stuff in a heartbeat, take your profit and move on, because 3x, 4x profit on nothing. That's definitely fishy. And if you had Vertcoin before, I would take that profit and run to the hills and laugh all the way to the bank. If they did an atomic swap with Litecoin, or if there's something like that, then that's cool. But I would still, in this market, if you had this 2 weeks ago, if you had this at $1 and it's sitting at $3.40 right now, take your damn profits and be happy about it. Because I would not doubt coming back here, and we can see a little bit too. But I wouldn't doubt coming back here in the near future, seeing this back down to. This was almost up to $5. I would not doubt seeing this back down quite a bit. That who knows? But that's just somebody saying that, calling it a pump and dump. I'm not necessarily calling this a pump and dump, but at the same point in time, if you make 300% return, if you make 300% ROI, don't get too greedy. Take some profits off the table, because that's a pretty damn good profit if you had any type of money at all in that. So that's, that would be my recommendation for you there. Taking a look at some of these questions as well. Deepak mentioned, what are your thoughts on Electroneum? Kyle, what's up, my man? Somebody mentioned thoughts on Electroneum. I am not a big fan of Electroneum. I know a lot of people participate in the Electroneum ICO. I do not see any purpose for it. A lot of people said it's basically, I've seen some research that it's basically just a crappy hard fork of Monero with no technical advancements and a mobile wallet. So I would not participate in the Electroneum ICO. If you did so already, that's good, but we'll see what happens there. So taking a look at some of these questions right now to, let's see, pop it over. Yeah, Electroneum I think Electroneum has done a really good job of marketing, but I don't necessarily know if that leads to significant success once it really gets into the marketplace. I just don't really see a big value proposition. Not to say it won't do well, because other crypto out there has done really well that hasn't had a lot of great technical backing, but who knows? We'll see there. Ripple pumped pretty hard prior to their Swell conference. I'm not a big Ripple fan personally. I know people that have made quite a bit of money on Ripple and really like it, but at this point in time, I'm not a massive Ripple fan. I just don't see why banks would necessarily use Ripple over anything. Why banks would use Ripple over anything else, and why they wouldn't just develop that proprietary technology internally. So an interesting thing there as well. Somebody mentioned, do I think Robinhood will be a good exchange? I don't necessarily. Robinhood wasn't an ICO or a project that I was very positive on. They also did a lot of marketing. I did not participate in the Robinhood ICO. They asked me to work with them and reached out a bunch of times, but I wasn't a big fan of the project, and I wasn't a big fan. Morgan, my man Morgan Freeman, thoughts on Stellar Lumens. And so Stellar Lumens had a really nice run, or at least about a week ago or so, had a big old spike. Let's pop over here. Big old spike. I'll open it up a little bit more. When they announced that they were, I believe, working with IBM. So they were at about less than 2 cents, went all the way up to 4 cents at one point in time. Pretty much tripled or not necessarily tripled. I think it was about 150% in one day. 150% in one day or so. That went up on Stellar upon the announcement with IBM. I need to do a little bit more research personally on Stellar. I know somebody who works at IBM reached out to me and let me know about this. So pretty interesting to continue to watch how companies like Stellar or crypto like Stellar can partner with large existing companies to kind of continue to move the ball and continue to spread adoption, and how companies I believe IBM is using this for global payments internally. Whether or not that actually means that Stellar is more valuable in the future, who knows? Somebody mentioned OMG, $300 a coin in 2019. I don't know if that's really going to happen. Well, that's a pretty big ROI. I hold OMG, so I'd love to see that. But I don't know if $300 per OMG is anything that's going to be super realistic. I mean, we're talking about it's a pretty damn big return on investment. Over like 20x return on your investment, probably more than that. trying to go through as many of these questions, guys, as possible. If you have something that absolutely needs to be answered, throw it in a super chat. Other than that, I try to get to as many as I humanly possibly can. So somebody mentioned what does Yeah, somebody mentioned OMG can pump up their coin too much and they're trying too hard to market. I've heard that feedback from a couple different people that they've been trying to, in some cases, like pump up OMG a little bit, maybe inorganically. We'll see. I still hold a good amount. Nothing incredibly massive anymore. I shaved some of that position and moved it to Bitcoin, but we will. I still think OMG has a really nice use case, but some of the excitement around it has cooled off since its all-time highs of around $13 or so. Somebody mentioned $300 per OMG in 2019 is not unlikely. Look at ETH. That was under $20 a year ago. Yeah, the crypto market is growing quickly, but you also have to look at the overall supply. That is something that a lot of newbies in the space make a mistake of. There are 98 million OMG coins. There are 95 million Ethereum. But the fact that, so pretty similar in terms of the actual supply itself, but to say that OMG is going to be a $28 billion market capitalization, I don't know if that's going to happen unless, you have Bitcoin at $300 or $400 billion and just an overall massive market capitalization for all of crypto. I don't see, a specific reason as to why OMG would really hold a $30 billion market capitalization, although I'd certainly love it if that happened. Somebody mentioned, Acosta mentioned, do I need to purchase BCH Bitcoin Cash at $300? I'm not a big Bitcoin Cash fan personally. I don't know a lot of people that are. I think there's, you got your homeboys like Roger Ver pumping Bitcoin Cash, and some of the original guys in that whole Jihan group as well. That whole Jihan group as well. So I'm not a big Bitcoin Cash fan. I wouldn't necessarily hold it. I don't see a lot of utility for it. Will it improve in the future? Maybe, but especially if Bitcoin 2x, if the SegWit 2x stuff goes through and that happens, that really even reduces the utility more of Bitcoin Cash, in my opinion. So Marcos mentioned Bitcoin Gold and B2X sucks, and they're taking away money from real Bitcoin. I don't necessarily know if Bitcoin Gold and B2X is taking away money from Bitcoin. What I think is probably going to happen is it's basically going to act like a dividend, in my opinion, is that the vast majority of people that hold Bitcoin are holding Bitcoin because they like holding Bitcoin. So if they get basically a dividend of Bitcoin Gold and of B2X or Bitcoin SegWit 2X, they're going to take that Bitcoin Gold and they're going to take that SegWit 2X coin and they're going to say, hey, I hold Bitcoin because I like Bitcoin and I want more Bitcoin and I can buy more Bitcoin with my Bitcoin Gold and with my Bitcoin 2X. So I'm just going to do that. And that's exactly what I'm personally going to do. Is I don't see a lot of utility behind B2X. I don't see a lot of utility behind Bitcoin Gold. So if and when those forks happen and I get my Bitcoin Gold and I get my B2X, I'm going to take those. I'm going to take those cryptocurrencies and I'm going to flip them for more Bitcoin. That's all I'm going to do. So that doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, reduce the valuation of Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin is a 99, almost $100 billion cryptocurrency right now. Bitcoin Cash is pretty damn large. So Mike Thompson mentioned, let's see, 41. Let's see what block we're on. So thank you for that, Mike. By the way, appreciate the super chat very much. So we are on, let's see what block. I'm assuming, Mike, that this is in regards to the Bitcoin Gold. Let me see here. So here's the response, and let's see. So they are 4091 407. So that's apparently, this is Bitcoin Gold saying that that the Bitcoin Gold blockchain will become publicly available when it reaches block 491,407, which is supposed to occur in 3 days. We are now at 491,230, so it's a little bit farther away than that. So apparently the fork hasn't yet happened. It's supposed to happen at the 4th. I can't even freaking speak English right now, but basically saying that the new Bitcoin Gold consensus rules do not come into effect until probably about 3 days from now. So that is apparently, if you want to get your free dividend of Bitcoin, you still have a couple days to get that Bitcoin in a place where it will be recognized by Bitcoin Gold, and see what goes on with that. So Jesper mentioned, should we choose Legacy or SegWit during the fork? I'm assuming you're referring to Bitcoin with your Ledger wallet, which is what I utilize. I utilize the SegWit version of the Ledger Nano S wallet as opposed to the Legacy. I believe the transaction fees are typically a bit less with the SegWit. So I utilize the SegWit. I don't know if it necessarily matters one way or another during the forks. I would definitely, I believe Ledger's coming out with some statements on it. Bitcoin Gold has not been super transparent when it comes to a lot of this stuff. So Ledger, as I know, complained publicly about Bitcoin Gold. I think that the SegWit 2X, while it's not something that is great, a lot of people are not happy about it. But it is something that is, I think, more planned out fully than a lot of this other kind of junk going on with Bitcoin Gold. So something to keep an eye on. But I think there's just a little bit more planning and knowledge from some of these people on Bitcoin SegWit 2X and on Bitcoin Gold. So Sagar mentioned, what do I think about the price? Will the price of Bitcoin go down after the fork on October 26th? I personally, and this is a big distinction, guys, I think Bitcoin SegWit 2X is going to be a bigger deal than Bitcoin Gold. Personally, I think Bitcoin Gold is kind of a crap coin, and it's just kind of a blatant play for money. So I think people are waiting for their Bitcoin, and I don't know if I can pull it up off the top. I don't even know if I've ever been on Bitfinex, honestly. Let's see. I might be locked in here. What do we got? They might block US. I believe on Bitfinex they are trading futures. There's a couple different places where I believe they are trading futures of Bitcoin SegWit 2X. So that is something that you do want to take a look at. I don't know if they're trading futures on Bitcoin Gold, but I believe they are trading futures on SegWit 2X. So I would keep an eye on that. Mflotard, am I okay having my BTC on a ledger, and how do I split? I believe that you are okay with your Bitcoin on your ledger. That is what I'm doing, and that's what I'm keeping. I am trusting. At this point in time, I would continue to just keep an eye on what Ledger is saying and some of the official statements that they're making, but I am trusting Ledger to just technically make sure that we're all good to go with with both the Bitcoin Gold as well as the B2X splits or the forks. So that's something that, I believe you are all good to go, keeping your Bitcoin on your Ledger as well. So just keep an eye on that. Any public statements from Bitcoin or from Ledger itself. But as of now, all the public statements they have made have been positive in that direction. So looking at a couple different things here, Walton to go to 0 by 2018. Who knows if that's going to be the case? One thing I'll say, and I think it's an interesting discussion, but there was Sithu, thank you. I appreciate that super chat, my man. One thing that is interesting is how difficult it is to kill cryptocurrency. A lot of people talk about how 99% of all these altcoins and everything, are gonna go to zero and they're gonna go out. However, it's a lot harder to kill some of these cryptocurrencies than you would think, because there's always going to be like bag holders. There's always going to be investors that are going to try and pump it up. They're going to try and be proponents of it. So even like you think about Dogecoin, which Dogecoin got me into cryptocurrency. I was a fan of Dogecoin. I know the founder of Dogecoin, and I like it, but it's not a lot of development going into the project. It's not a lot of, it's just really, it's not a, it's like not a super serious crypto project. The community is really tapered down. But if you still look at Dogecoin, where do we got here? It's still worth $113 million. So when somebody says something's going to zero, I mean, it ain't easy to kill a cryptocurrency. I mean, you got Dogecoin here that, granted, back in February was worth about 22 million, but still, it's not very easy. Even when there was no excitement and it was kind of down, it was still worth 22 million. Josh, really appreciate that super chat, man. Thanks for watching. If you have a question, absolutely let me know. So thank you very much for that, dude. Buy Doge, buy Doge. Yeah, I actually had 1 million. It's kind of a funny story. I had 1 million Dogecoin from back. I got into Dogecoin back in late 2013, 2014, right when Dogecoin got started, and I bought 1.5 million Dogecoin. And I completely forgot about it. I bought 1.5 million Dogecoin. I think it was for like $300, maybe $200 something dollars, and I totally forgot about it. And then I went and I restored my entire computer back. It was on an old laptop. I restored my entire computer, and I found that I had 1.5 million Dogecoin that I forgot about for 3 years. That was worth about 1.2 Bitcoin, 1.25 Bitcoin, and sold it in like June, like mid-June. So I ended up it was the easiest $3,000 I've ever made in my life. I took $300, I bought like 1 million plus Dogecoin with it, completely forgot it even existed, and then I went back, and then I was like, oh shit, I remember I had 1 million Dogecoin on my old laptop. I restored my laptop, got it, found my wallet.dat file, bingo bango, my 1 million Dogecoin, transferred it over to Poloniex, and sold it for like 1.2 Bitcoin back when Bitcoin was worth $2,000 something, $3,000. That was awesome. So that was a fun time. Somebody mentioned, can I leave my Bitcoin on GDAX Coinbase during the looming forks? They will not depend. I think Bitcoin or Coinbase GDAX are going to support SegWit 2X, but I do not believe they're presently going to support Bitcoin Gold. So if you want Bitcoin Gold, which I don't think is going to be that big of a deal, but if you want Bitcoin Gold, Coinbase has come out and said that they will not be supporting it, and they will not be crediting your account with the Bitcoin Gold that you have. So move it to another wallet, and make sure that move it to another wallet, or do whatever you want with it. So definitely something to keep in mind. But Coinbase GDAX will not be supporting Bitcoin Gold. I believe they will be supporting SegWit 2X though. Yep. So we're looking. Let's see. Bitcoin chilling above 6,000 now, which is always fun to see. Yeah. So somebody mentioned Guo mentioned I probably butchered the pronunciation of your name, so sorry about that, man or woman. But I did get into the AirSwap ICO. I did the contribution of 3. I think it was like a cap of 3.3 Ethereum per person. I put 3 ETH into the ICO, and AirSwap hasn't done anything. So it's right now it's a loss on paper. I haven't sold any of my AirSwap tokens yet. I haven't sold any of my AST yet, but it goes to show, I think, in this case that you really have to be very, very selective with these ICOs. I know a lot of people made a ton of money in June, July, August on ICOs, and they're not able, those returns are not replicating. And it's ICO fatigue, it's ICO ADD. It's been tough for a lot of people to replicate those returns. So you definitely have to be selective with where you're putting that money in those ICOs as well. But yeah, AirSwap was one that I think a lot of people are positive on. Has a good team backed by consensus. Blah 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 blah, and has taken a pretty decent haircut since it's hit the market. So certainly a learning experience. Yeah, a couple of different people mentioning there's so many ICOs. It's pretty crazy too, because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people out there that are the self-proclaimed ICO experts, and I've never tried to. Jason, appreciate the super chat, my man. Thank you so much. I've never tried to proclaim myself as an expert. I'm certainly far from it. I just kind of like talking to you guys about what my thoughts are and answering your questions and kind of shooting the shit and having normal conversation with you guys. But there's a lot of people out there that were the quote-unquote ICO experts back in June, July, when a monkey could have put money into an ICO and made 10x, and now you're lucky if you put your money into an ICO and hold the value. So I think there's a lot of people that are who quit their day jobs investing in ICOs and quit their day jobs investing in ICOs, probably going to have to go back to work because nobody's going to pay them for their expert ICO advice anymore. So we'll see how that ends up turning out for a lot of people. But like I said, you could have invested in ICO, like a monkey could have invested in ICOs in the altcoin bull run and made money. And basically every Joe Schmo could have made money back then. And now it's getting a lot harder to make money, and now you're kind of separating the cream from the crop in terms of the so-called experts, of which I am not an expert by any stretch. But, yeah. So somebody mentioned Electroneum, and I spoke a little bit about it previously, but not a big fan of Electroneum. I don't see any big purpose for it. Really just a hard fork of Monero from what I've seen, technically speaking, and they've done a good job marketing, and that's about it. Seems like a lot of people that aren't super informed in the crypto space, unfortunately, got convinced by other people who... People are all in my comments, and thank God for the YouTube spam filter, but people are all in my comments with Electroneum referral links saying that you could easily make 50x to 100x on Electroneum. Bullshit. So there we go. So a couple different people asking about altcoin entry points, and obviously altcoins are down quite a bit right now. Obviously, altcoins are down quite a bit at this point in time from really the highs of this summer. I still think there might be. So I have, like I said before. Oh shit, sorry. I have about 50% Bitcoin, about 15% Ethereum, and about 35%, let's say, altcoins, which is Omise Go, OMG. I got Civic. I have Chainlink, and then I have a little bit of Manetha that I'm just trying to get rid of because I'm bag holding the absolute crap out of Manetha. Now, outside of that, I still think I am not buying more. I could buy more altcoins now, but I am not buying more at this point in time because I still think that there might be more room for Bitcoin to run, and if Bitcoin continues to run, I think there's going to be kind of newbies on the other side of the house selling their altcoins for Bitcoin in anticipation of a continued run up. So I am not. I'm not going to be buying. I still think alts could dip further, which could still present a greater buying opportunity. If you want to dollar cost average your way into some alts, definitely do that. Yeah, drink. That a boy Corey. But yeah, I still think that there's a good opportunity to potentially buy in, a little bit lower with some of these altcoins if Bitcoin continues to rise up, which I think might happen. Somebody mentioned, will Ethereum be off to the races like Saquon Barkley? I'm a Penn State football fan, so Saquon Barkley is a stud, and I hope Ethereum is off to the races like Saquon, because Saquon is the man. It costs a thank you for that. I really appreciate that. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. And Top Recruit mentioned thoughts on Robinhood. I'm not a big fan of Robinhood. I know Robinhood. So Robinhood, to me, kind of a cheap ripoff of the Robinhood investment application, which I've used. I like, cool app. I just, the whole note, I don't know. It's Robinhood doesn't seem like anything super crazy to me. I think people are more interested in, personally, I think people are more interested in decentralized exchanges than they are in no-fee exchanges. And no, Robinhood is not the same devs as Robinhood. The CEO of Robinhood actually tweeted and said, watch out for Robinhood. It's, might be a scam. So somebody mentioned thoughts on the Tezos ICO situation. So I think this is definitely an interesting conversation to have. Oh, there we go. So Tezos' ICO is in trouble. This is from the Merkle.com, and there was also some things about a couple of ambulance chaser lawyer types came out and said a couple of ambulance chaser lawyer types have come out with some potential gathering information about running class action lawsuits. Tezos is, so outside of the class action lawsuits, you can see here Block and Leviton. They raised about $230 million in ICO funding, and apparently right now there's infighting between the foundation that Tezos set up. Tezos set up a foundation to kind of hold the company in Switzerland, I believe, and then set up a foundation to hold the company in Switzerland. And then there's a husband and wife founding team that actually are developing the application as well. And there's a couple different things now where the husband and wife team is battling with basically the parent company or the Tezos Foundation. So there's been a falling out basically in the company, and there's bad shit going on, and the ICO investors are kind of stuck in between. And as an ICO investor, one thing you definitely want to be aware of is if bad shit happens in an ICO, you pretty much have no rights. You're not investing in you're not investing in a security. You don't really have a lot rights there to do anything in terms of legal actions, and you don't have a lot of action to do any legal actions or anything like that. So it's a really interesting situation of what this could potentially do for ICO law and how this could really develop into the future. So it is something you want to, as somebody potentially participating in ICOs, you really do want to keep an eye on moving forward, because depending upon how this goes with Tezos could really determine if Tezos might be forced to give $230 million back to people that invested in their ICO, or alternatively, you could have just given basically that money to charity pretty much. So somebody mentioned, aren't ICOs considered securities now in the USA? No, they're not. Some ICOs, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has come out and said some ICOs could be classified as securities, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are all securities now at this point in time. So ICOs are not considered securities in the U.S. yet, but we'll have to see how this plays out. But definitely keep an eye on Tezos, because this could have some pretty big implications for the overall ICO marketplace in the future. So somebody mentioned thoughts on Altcoin. Altcoin is one that surprised me. Back in early September, a lot of people were up in my YouTube chat asking about Altcoin when it was like $1 or so. And this was like early September. Yeah, really early September when it was like $2, $1. And I just wasn't a massive fan, partly because the website was really not in English. And I didn't feel like pressing the Google Translate button. And now I think the website is it actually? The website's actually in English now. So good on Altcoin. It's still not responsive, so bad on Altcoin for not having a responsive website. But good on them for actually translating it based upon my location. So bravo. But I just didn't. It seemed, I don't know. It didn't seem like the. Not to say it seemed like a pump and dump to me, but it seemed like a lot of undue hype, and I wasn't in early enough for me to. I felt like I was in too late. Like this was in the 80th, 70th position on CoinMarketCap, and I felt like I was in too late. And it has spiked up. It spiked all the way up to about $8 at one point in time. Really nice market cap, and it's actually held up pretty well in comparison. It's taken a little bit of a dip in terms of its Bitcoin trading pairing, but it's still held up pretty well, surprisingly. I think there also might, quite frankly, be a lot of bag holders or people that have bought at the top or bought pretty early on that are pretty still excited about the project. So I don't know if I'd invest in Walton now, although I said that back when it was $1. So take my word with a grain of salt, because I am by no means an expert. I could be sitting in some pretty nice profit if I listen to some of you guys who are pounding the table on Walton back in early September. Vitalik is a human hybrid. Yeah, Vitalik is the man. Vitalik is an interesting dude to listen to. He there are so many people in the crypto space that are just absolutely fascinating to listen to, and to, let's see, a couple different people asking about what's happening. So as we're talking about Vitalik, as we're talking about Vitalik, let's talk a little bit about Ethereum as well. And go look at the one-day charts. Ethereum, since September has really not done super well. And I've shed some of my Ethereum position and put it back towards Bitcoin. So I'm waiting for a little bit more evidence that Ethereum might be kind of recovering and might have some more wind in its steam. Really have some more wind behind it. So I guess one clear distinction I definitely want to make is I think Ethereum is extremely interesting, and probably more interesting technically speaking than Bitcoin. A lot more application from a technical standpoint, the decentralized applications, smart contracts, all that type of good stuff. I really like what Ethereum is tackling technically speaking, but I think people are more and more considering Bitcoin as their go-to store of value, and Ethereum has lost a little bit of steam because of it. So from an investment standpoint, not that I'm turned off to Ethereum. I still there could be some nice buying opportunities. I'm still dollar cost averaging every 2 weeks buying more Ethereum, but I'm not moving like a vast majority of my position into it right now until it kind of proves that it has a little bit maybe more steam. But in the past 7 days or so, it's really just been red every single day. So unfortunate to see, but we'll see. So somebody mentioned, why do I think ETH hasn't kept up with BTC? Could it have been because the supply is growing? I don't necessarily know if it's because of supply. I think Ethereum had an incredible run. I mean, if we look back, let's see, we'll put on the 3-day charts instead so we could get this. I mean, Ethereum had a crazy run from from really all of 2017 when it peaked in mid-June, and has been on that downtrend since then. So I think just Bitcoin has sucked up. People forget when you look at Bitcoin. When you look at Bitcoin, I mean, you're talking about it is now, it's now $100 billion cryptocurrency. It's $100 billion market cap. And so when Bitcoin goes up 2% or 5%, if Bitcoin goes up 5%, we're talking about a $5 billion gain. And now, yeah, some of that $5 billion is going to come in from new cryptocurrency, but also some of that $5 billion is going to maybe come in from people who hold Ethereum or hold Ripple or Bitcoin Cash or whatever, or some of these altcoins. So if you take $5 billion, let's say Bitcoin goes up 5% tomorrow. I mean, you're taking $5 billion. Let's say $2 billion of that is new, fresh US dollars or fresh fiat. So $2 billion is fresh fiat. The other $3 billion is coming in from altcoins. So maybe $1 billion of that is from Ethereum, and maybe $2 billion of that is from every other cryptocurrency. That is why, in a lot of cases, I think Bitcoin or Ethereum maybe hasn't even been able to keep up with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has just gone up so much and just sucked up so much money from the rest of the ecosystem into its market capitalization perspective. And I'd be curious from an overall perspective of how much money of that. I don't know if it's really possible from a fiat perspective if we can kind of get that information, but I would really love to understand the overall number of fiat in comparison to altcoin that has gone into Bitcoin. But it's pretty fascinating stuff in my opinion. So reading some of these kind of comments here. Let's see. More rumors about China. I'm over China. Robbie's over China. So who knows? But I don't know. There's people have been saying China for a month, and this and China that. And the thing about China for me now is it's basically done with the negative news. There's really not much more China can do negatively to the crypto market. So if China comes out and does something, for the most part, it pretty much have to be positive. And if it makes my crypto go up, then thanks, China. If not, get out of crypto and stay out. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. So Morgan Freeman said, crazy how news networks refuse to talk about Bitcoin. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. I mean, cryptocurrency is basically, Bitcoin is a huge topic, like every day now on Bloomberg. It's a big topic on CNBC as well. So basically anything that talks about financial markets is talked about on the news on Bloomberg and on CNBC pretty much on a daily basis. So maybe not like on ABC every day, but at the same point in time, it's still, overall crypto is still pretty small in terms of just regular market cap. The overall trading, investing market cap, globally speaking, it's still pretty small. As somebody mentioned, am I still optimistic about Engine? The ICO has been slow. I'm hoping it turns around, but yeah, this has been this type of thing is where I wish a company would just be like, okay, like this is slowed down significantly. Let's just shut it down and let's move on. That's something that I think a company like Engine Coin or Engine should do in this scenario. Is, they sold out, I think, like 88% in the first day or so, and then it has slowed down considerably to the past couple weeks, where like the past 2 weeks, where it's basically gone from like 85 to 90%. I mean, they've raised millions and millions of dollars, and I don't know if they're going to sell out that 100%, but I think at that point in time, you should just kind of end it, move on, and work to kind of start producing that product, getting it on the exchanges, and moving forward from there. So I think that yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's not a great sign that an ICO doesn't sell out. I think that's. I mean, there's ICOs that have done well that haven't sold out, but it's never a great sign. So I mean, my engine coin is sitting in my Ether, my wallet right now, my Ledger wallet right now. But I'll probably we'll see what happens. But I would imagine a lot of people. I mean, if you can't sell your ICO, that's really not a big incentive for people to buy at a higher rate once it hits the exchange. That's kind of economics, intelligence 101. You guys trying to answer as many of these questions coming through. Trying to answer as many of these questions coming through. 2 of them I'm going to take right now, but if you have something that you absolutely want answered, throw it into Super Chat, and I definitely will get to that. So 2 questions there, Kyber Network and then 10x. So Kyber Network, I think, is similar to, I think overall the market is somewhat cooled off investment-wise to decentralized exchanges. So, if you have invested in a lot of these decentralized exchanges, whether it is DNT, although DNT has done okay in the past couple of days, Kyber Network, BitShares, whatever it is, BitShares being a really older decentralized, really not a massively decentralized, but I don't know if now is the best time to invest in some of these decentralized exchanges. They haven't shown a lot of momentum in terms of moving up, but I think Kyber Network might still have a little bit ways to go. And my thought process on that is I'm a fan of Kyber Network. I like what they're doing. It had a really good move from after the ICO, but it's still not, the product roadmap is still a little bit far away. So I would, I would wait a little bit more until the product is actually live and until you can really be trading on the, until you can be trading on Kyber's network. So that's one thing there. 10x on the other end of the spectrum. So 10x, they recently got, I forget what exchange they got pulled off of. Let's see. I don't know. Let's see. There was one exchange that actually pulled 10x off of, I think it was a Chinese exchange. I don't remember exactly what it was, but something to be, I think, a little bit cognizant of is they deemed that 10x was a security. I don't remember the exact exchange that deemed 10x a security, but something to be aware of, because if one exchange deems 10x a security, that could be negative news for, I believe it was 10x and Monaco. So I would just be aware of that if there's some type of flaw within the way that 10x has been set up, or if there's some reason that they should be considered a security, that could be, if it just gets mass delisted from a lot of places, that would be an issue for sure. And I would want to absolutely be aware of that in the future. So I would keep an eye on that from a 10x perspective. Appreciate the super chat there, man. Thank you so much for that. Somebody asked how the Pigeon Coin ICO is coming. It's been fantastic. I've gathered a flock of about 1 billion pigeons so far, and they're getting ready to roll, man. They are getting ready to roll. The hard cap, the white paper's almost done. I was drawing it with crayon, and I think maybe now I'm going to move over to Sharpie. So after I finish drawing the white paper with Sharpie and I put it up PDF, so we'll see what the hell is going on. Somebody mentioned, have I looked into the QuantStamp ICO? I've never heard of it, so I don't know too much about it. 10x sounds promising. Yeah, I think 10x is a promising cryptocurrency. Will it be a good investment? That might be another story. It's promising, though. It's definitely a promising cryptocurrency. It's done pretty well since its ICO, though it's kind of come back pretty strongly since mid-August. So we'll see there. Salt long term, I believe that's probably what you're asking there. Salt has had a rough go since the ICO, pretty damn rough go since the ICO. I think there was some issues in terms of pre-sales, and I think, if correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure some people bought Salt as high as like $25 or something ridiculous, and there were really inexpensive ways to get in the pre-sale that helped some folks out quite a bit. Have I heard of Appian? Yes, I've heard of Appian. Let's see here. Somebody mentioned, how did the AirSwap ICO go? The AirSwap ICO has not gone well. The ICO itself went okay, but it hasn't. I believe the ICO price was about 0.009 ETH, and it's trading below its ICO price. So it moved up a little bit. Moved up a little bit on the ICO, but it's kind of had a slow, steady sell-off. So the AirSwap ICO is, I've held on to it, but it's down in terms of the paper investment. So not great, but it is what it is. You take some shots, and that's why you do things. Somebody mentioned, am I invested in Power Ledger? No, I'm not invested in Power Ledger. I did not invest in the ICO. Didn't participate in that one. Wasn't a massive fan personally, but I know a lot of people did invest. So wishing you the best on that one. How long do I think Bitcoin will go up after the fork? I have no damn clue. But I'm probably gonna hold on until I get proven otherwise. So I'm gonna continue to stay pretty heavily weighted in Bitcoin until I see maybe the market just getting too frothy with Bitcoin. I don't know. Depends on where that goes, but if that's something like 6,500, if that's something like it pushing 7,000, maybe that's an area where I take some profits and move into Ethereum or move it into some of these altcoins. But we'll have to see what ends up happening with that. And looking at some more of these questions, guys. Somebody mentioned thoughts on ARK. I haven't been I've liked what ARK is working on from an investment standpoint since they kind of peaked in mid-September or so. It's looked like it. I mean, it's really had a rough go against the Bitcoin ratio. So there's really been, in my opinion, no reason to hold ARK over Bitcoin. And I think, with the considerable spike that it had, it still has a potential long way to go down. So for me, I like what ARK's trying to do, but I'm not a big ARK holder or investor at all. Somebody mentioned, is there a reason to hold Litecoin? Is there a reason to hold Litecoin? I think there's a reason, and some people really like Litecoin as a project. A lot of people like Charlie Lee. He's one of the more active guys from an investment standpoint. Morgan asked, NYC is the best pizza in the world. NYC, New York, New Jersey, good ass pizza. Jersey is good pizza too, so we'll throw that in the mix. But I was in Chicago last week for work, and I like deep dish pizza. Like Chicago pizza is good once every 3 months. But then you realize I could eat deep dish pizza 7,000 times. I mean, I could eat New York pizza. I literally had pizza for dinner tonight. So solid topic there, Morgan. So, Hawir, good night, man. Have a good one. Isn't my name Crypto Robbie? Because Bobby rolls off the tongue, man. Why not? But so going back to Litecoin, it's I personally don't hold a ton of Litecoin. Don't hold a ton of Litecoin. I would rather, Litecoin tries to kind of be the silver to Bitcoin's gold. I would rather just hold gold. And I get a lot of the utility around Litecoin. In a lot of cases, it's done better than Ethereum recently too. But I am not I'm not a massive holder of Litecoin. I have a little bit in it, but I'd rather be in Bitcoin and Ethereum than I would in Litecoin. So that's just kind of my own thought process there. Somebody mentioned up top thoughts on QuantStamp and props. So don't know too much about QuantStamp props. I'm actually working with I'm working with the props team. I'm actually going to a happy hour in New York with CoinFund, and it's at the YouNow Props office in New York. I think it's on Thursday, so that'll be pretty cool. But I'm working with them, kind of advising on their project. So I did an ICO review that'll probably be coming up in the next 2 days on props, and I'll be using their platform once they go live. So I'm pretty excited about that ICO. We'll see. Hopefully, I'm looking forward to that being a successful one and hopefully bucking a little bit of the trend as far as ICOs cooling off recently. But we'll have to see what ends up happening there. But that's one that I'm definitely excited about. I think they have a really legit use case. And I think they can kind of do what Steemit's doing for kind of Reddit replacement in some cases, but take that to video and do that a little bit more with live streaming. And I think it would be pretty cool to use props for crypto happy hour. Like I'm watching this now on my phone, but with props, I could literally bring up, if you guys had a question, I could literally bring you up and you could ask a question, your literal face on the phone, and then audibly ask a question rather than commenting and just tell me to F off in person and tell me I'm a loser, ask me about BitConnect and why I think it's a Ponzi scheme or whatever. And then from there, you could throw tips, I could throw tips or props or whatever you want to say. So pretty interesting project. Brooklyn Pizza for the win. So somebody asked about Exodus Wallet working to claim Bitcoin Gold and B2X. I personally don't know. Not to sound like a dummy that doesn't know how to answer anything, but there's a lot of wallets out there and there's a lot of exchanges out there. So if you have your money, if you have your Bitcoin on one of those exchanges, I would definitely recommend literally just Googling that. I would Google Exodus Bitcoin Gold and Exodus B2X and try to figure out how they're going to utilize the platform, or how they're going to handle the fork. So I would treat everything on an individual basis there. Donald mentioned on the subject of props. Yeah, they're moving their entire business from YouNow to Rise. So that's my understanding, is they're basically moving everybody from YouNow to Rise. So that'll be pretty cool, and they're pretty much rebranding the entire company and going in that direction. So somebody mentioned the reason I'm staying loyal to Litecoin is the possibility of Amazon accepting it as a payment option that would drive the price to the moon. I don't know if there was some FUD a while ago, not really FUD, but there was some rumors that was pumped by James Altucher and about Bitcoin accepting. I'll definitely get to that in a second, Top Recruit. So thank you very much for that super chat, my man. But some rumors about Bitcoin being accepted by Amazon. I don't see any reason why Bitcoin would be accepted by Amazon now, personally. Amazon makes so much money as it is. I don't really think they care that much, honestly. So that's definitely something that, I don't know. I just don't see Amazon accepting Bitcoin or Litecoin in the near future. Does it mean not now? Doesn't mean not in history, but we'll see. So Top Recruit mentioned, and this is something I actually do a lot of studying on, how do I think ICOs will change with SEC looming? Personally, I think the big thing that you're going to look at with Amazon, or I'm reading comments and answering at the same time. Personally, ICOs, at least in the United States, will personally, I think in the United States with the Securities and Exchange Commission, what you might see is companies moving more and more towards accredited investors. Unfortunately, I hope this doesn't happen, but so there's CoinList, which is from the guys over at AngelList. They did the ICO for Filecoin. They basically only opened that up to accredited investors. I also think that if you look at, so this is something, so Saft Project, I'll comment on this. This is from Marco Santori. He's actually one of the lawyers. He's a partner at Cooley. There's a couple other people as well. But read this, and it's kind of they have a white paper on this Saft project, and it's basically this like framework that they propose for how to make ICOs legal in the United States. And there's a couple different ways to do that. It's either to structure your ICO as a security or to utilize a utility token, basically to have a utility token that is to have a product and something in existence. So it's an interesting thing. If you're nerdy like I am, I would definitely read it. It's a good white paper to understand some of the legalities and the issues behind ICOs in the United States. If you're not in the United States and don't give a crap about the U.S., then don't worry about it. But it's still probably, quite frankly, U.S. regulation, whether you like it or not, is probably going to have some level of effect on the overall ICO market. So something to definitely be cognizant of. iFaloni or however I say that username, thank you for the super chat. And thoughts on XRP. So I'll talk about Ripple for a minute here. Ripple has had a little bit of a pump into the Swell conference. So they had their Swell conference. You can see here they had a fairly nice movement. We're looking at green, that's the actual monetary. So green is the actual price in a USD perspective. It pumped all the way up to 28.5 cents, Ripple did, prior to the Swell conference. And basically right after their big conference, it's sold off all the way down to 20 cents. So it's dipped pretty hard. Will it continue to dip? I don't know, but it's a classic case of buy the rumor, sell the news, where people are buying Ripple because, oh my God, something's going to happen at this conference. They're going to announce that Ripple is now a bajillion dollar and they're working with every bank and blah, 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 blah. And as soon as the conference actually happened, people just sold it off like hotcakes. So once they actually announced the news at the conference, people sold it. So pretty classic example of buy the rumor, sell the news. So, I mean, that's kind of my take on Ripple right now, is that it needs to I guess, stabilize and show me something, but I'm not a big Ripple fan just because I think it's a very centralized. It's not really a true cryptocurrency. It's not really decentralized. It's owned by Ripple. They're working with all the big banks, and I think a lot of the big banks can just build a lot of this technology on their own. Somebody mentioned, I think Miles mentioned, do I watch Coin Mastery? You watch Carter and myself, and appreciate the kind words there. Yeah, I like Coin Mastery, Carter Thomas. Seems like a very good dude. I've talked to him on Twitter a bunch of times. Very nice guy, very high quality videos, very consistent pretty much every day. I'm not as consistent as him. He has like 30-minute videos every single day. I can't always talk about something for 30 minutes. So I try to be as helpful as possible, but he's definitely more consistent on that front than me. So Ben mentioned, do I think I will ever turn my coins into USD? So right now, I mean, if you guys are interested in my overall strategy, as of right now, and as of kind of what I'm thinking about, I dollar cost average I have a bunch of money in cryptocurrency, and I continually every 2 weeks, I'll just put a little bit more US dollars into cryptocurrency. I don't plan on cashing out into US dollars for a long time. I think that at one point in time, I think Bitcoin's going to be worth $10,000. I think Bitcoin's going to be worth $25,000. I don't think there's anything else out there that is going to return the level of to generate the level of returns that Bitcoin is. Am I putting my entire life savings into Bitcoin? Absolutely freaking not. I own a house. I have a family, and I'm not doing that. So, but with that, going on with that, I don't plan on cashing out into US dollars because I already have, I have enough money in the stock market. I use Betterment, which is betterment.com. It's just like an automated investment website where it automatically invests in a lot of ETFs and mutual funds for me. So we'll see. So somebody mentioned the weed industry being illegal. Do I think Potcoin would be a good idea? I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting. There's a lot of marijuana blockchain companies. Is it an area where I'm super not a big weed guy personally? I don't know if you could tell that, but I'm not a. It's crypto happy hour, not crypto smoking hour. So I don't know too much, quite frankly, about the marijuana industry, so I don't really play in the marijuana investing space. Jamie asked, why not just buy the dips instead of dollar cost averaging? I kind of do both. I buy consistently I buy on a bi-weekly basis, and then I also will save up some money. So if, let's say, Bitcoin tonight goes from $6,000 to $4,000, you're damn right tomorrow morning I'm buying a bunch of Bitcoin. So that's kind of how I approach things, is just consistently buy, because that's the thing. I think that's the thing that overall that you want to be aware of as somebody in the space is like, yeah, you can make 10x. Yes, you can make 100x. Like, yeah, you can make all this money, blah, blah, blah. But you need to kind of continue to invest in it. I think, at least me personally, like, you need to increase the more capital you have in the space, the more opportunity for you to get a better ROI. Personally, I think that. So, if you only have $500 in crypto, yeah, maybe you can get lucky with a moonshot, but your chances are pretty minimal. Alternatively, if you have $100,000 in crypto, then, not saying that I have $100,000 in crypto, but if you have $100,000 in crypto, you're going to have more of an opportunity to make big money. So I'm not saying by any stretch to put $100,000 in crypto, but I think you guys get what I'm saying there. So I think, you just, for me personally, it's just on a continuous basis, just kind of continue to feed the machine and try to give myself more and more of an opportunity to make money in the space. Somebody said, do you make regular buys on Coinbase, or you transfer funds to GDAX first? So, I mean, you could do either. So right now I'm kind of lazy and just do the recurring buy on Coinbase through a bank account, but you could also manually just do it every week within GDAX to avoid, I think it's like the 1.5% fee. So I should probably do it manually, but I'm lazy. So, and I'm paying an additional, I think 1.2% for it. So I should probably stop doing that. And somebody mentioned all roads lead to accumulating Bitcoin. I think that is something that is pretty, yeah. That's kind of all roads, in my opinion, lead to accumulating Bitcoin. Also, pretty interested in accumulating Ethereum as well. I think when it comes down to it, there are going to be very few crypto projects, very few cryptocurrencies that are actually worth a damn thing. And the ones that are worth a damn thing are going to be worth a lot of money. And then you can make more, you can make money on a lot of other things in the, you can make money on a lot of other things in the short term as well. But you definitely want to, be aware about those things there. So, let's see. I love Dogecoin. Yes, I love Dogecoin. Somebody said, if you had $100,000 in crypto, where would you put it? I mean, I think being heavily weighted in Bitcoin is a good idea. you want to spread out. I think there's certainly something to be said about diversification in the space, and whether that's diversifying with Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and then maybe 2 or 3 smaller altcoins. That's something that would be maybe a good strategy. That's kind of the way I approach it right now. Like I said, I'm about 50% Bitcoin, about 15% Ethereum now, although those previously I was about 30% Ethereum, 30% Bitcoin. So my numbers, I moved more into Bitcoin. Whoa, there goes that microphone. I moved more into Bitcoin recently. But about 50% Bitcoin, 50% non-Bitcoin currently, but that number was much lower previously. I just was, prior to the hard fork, I went pretty heavy Bitcoin-wise. Somebody mentioned thoughts on EBTC. I think EBTC is a crap coin. Where do we got it? Yeah, EBTC is a crap coin. Literally, there's no reason for EBTC. So somebody else mentioned, do I think after Bitcoin Gold is distributed, Bitcoin will sell off? I don't think so, because I think the bigger deal is SegWit 2x and not Bitcoin Gold. That is personally, in my opinion, what you want to know, is that people are like, oh, is this all going to sell off after Bitcoin Gold happens on whatever, October 25th, October 26th? You're going to make more money by holding, to my knowledge and to my understanding, you're going to make more money by holding Bitcoin when the SegWit 2x fork happens than you will by holding Bitcoin when the Bitcoin Gold fork happens. So I think people are holding it now for both Bitcoin Gold and for SegWit 2x. I don't see a lot of people, if you're holding for a fork, you might as well hold for both and not just for one. But that's my opinion. That's kind of what I'm doing. And then once those forks happen again, I'm going to hold Bitcoin. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to hold Bitcoin, and I'm going to sell my Bitcoin Gold, and I'm going to sell my Bitcoin 2x and buy more Bitcoin with it. So if Bitcoin goes down after that, Bitcoin goes down when that's happening, then I'm going to be getting cheaper Bitcoin. If Bitcoin goes up, then I'll still have more Bitcoin. So life is life. And guys, outside of that, if you are new to the channel by any chance, I know we have like almost 300 people on here, which is pretty awesome. So thank you guys so much for sticking around for this point. But if you are new to the channel, definitely hit that subscribe button. I would really, really appreciate that. I know a lot of you are subscribers, so I very much appreciate you sticking around and hanging out with me. So definitely, if you are new, hit that subscribe button. That'd be fantastic. And if you want to, anytime I pump out a new video or do anything like that, hit the little notify button as well, so that you can get that get a little notification on the YouTube app anytime I hop in there. Travis mentioned, will GPU versus ASIC mining have any effect on the crypto leaders in the future? I don't necessarily think so. ASIC mining is obviously very centralized because it takes us a lot of money to afford ASICs. GPU mining is a little bit less centralized because it's easier for the little man to buy some GPUs and make something happen. But yeah, I don't think it makes that much of a difference one way or another. Top Recruit, thank you very much for that super chat, my man. Thoughts on crypto debit cards? They're interesting. From an investment perspective, I don't know if I'm not in on 10X. I'm not in on Monaco. I'm not in on Metal. I think they're good for the ecosystem. I still think we're somewhat, I don't know if we're far away from the utility of it, but I think a lot of people they have to overcome the challenge that a lot of people buy cryptocurrency to hold for an investment. I mean, a lot of people are utilizing cryptocurrency straight up for speculative investments and not necessarily for spending. Granted, some do, but I forget exactly what the statistics were. Thank you very much, Hatted Hooligan. But I think I heard on a podcast recently that somebody looked at the CoinBase accounts. They had access to the CoinBase accounts in 2016, and 60% of people that bought Bitcoin on Coinbase held and didn't transfer them or didn't spend them. So, if 60% of Bitcoin or 60% of crypto investors are using that, then or just holding, then I think that's something that hurts the adoption overall of something like a 10x or a Monaco or a Metal. So they've done fairly well, but I'm not invested in them right now. So Michael, thank you very much for that super chat. I do appreciate that. And you mentioned, do I have a rule against spreading myself too thin in altcoins? If so, do I have a preferred range to invest in? So for me personally, right now, I want to say I have, let's say here, I'm looking at my Blockfolio. I have about 7 or 8 investments right now. So I have crypto in about 7 or 8 places from some of the ICOs that I've gotten in, and as well as some of the advisory shares I have as well. So probably about 7 or 8 places. I think that's anything above 10. I think is you're kind of spreading yourself thin as far as understanding what's happening in the marketplace and kind of where you're at and what's going on in the crypto world. So I think it's kind of tough if you really to invest with if you're really to invest with that many kind of that many things. So that's a tough. Anything under 10, I think, is a pretty good place to be at. I think probably 5 is a good number to be at when it comes to having a number of crypto, just so you can understand, you can study the daily movements, you can understand what's happening in the price action, and you can also just stay as an informed investor as well. And guys, outside of that, like I said before, I'm not feeling super great after that Jets loss and having some beers this afternoon, and throat's getting a little bit sore at this point. So I'm out of water. Probably gonna head to bed soon. Got a long Monday of work. Got a bunch of meetings tomorrow for something that actually pays me money. So I'm probably gonna head to bed. As always, guys, if you need anything, if you have any questions, definitely let me know. If you are new, subscribe to the channel. I would always appreciate that. And definitely let me know if I could ever be of assistance in the future. Thank you guys so much for your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. Or day, wherever you are. Crypto Bobby, signing out.